The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering in-person and online graduate programs in public policy and data analytics. Admissions now open at umass.edu/SPP. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, dedicated to custom solar installations, electric vehicle charging solutions, and reliable long-term system support. northeast-solar.com.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, for Live Music Friday, we welcome back Gina Coleman and Diego Mongue from the Berkshire-based Misty Blues Band, who are playing at Luz Soundstage in Holyoke tonight. And we'll hear about how you can taste wine and support the March for the Food Bank at the same time with our wine snob friends from State Street in Northampton. But we begin right down the street from State Street. There is big news in the world of antiquated but beloved technology, and we are here in the...
work when the servers go down.
Yeah, right. When the electromagnetic pulse from the end of the world happens, you'll still be able to somehow play your CDs. Well, that's where we are in the subterranean home of Turn It Up CDs in Northampton with the soon-to-be former owners of Turn It Up CDs and the brand new soon-to-be owner of Turn It Up CDs. Patrick Pezzati, you're the current owner. Last time we were here, we talked to you about your cousin, who's on the cover of Freewheelin' Bob Dylan and the Bob Dylan movie. But you have some big news that you and your wife, Chandra, will announce right now.
Yes, indeed. We opened this little shop 30 years ago on November 24th. And on November 24th of this year, we will pass on the ownership to Carson Arnold, who was a customer when he was 10 years old and got a job at the Brattleboro shop when he was 18 or so in 2004, and been working with us ever since.
Chandra, you were saying that Carson, while not blood child, is like part of the Turn It Up family.
He is part of our family and will hopefully remain so even after this sale.
Carson, do you remember what the first record is you ever bought at a Turn It Up?
I think it was Smashing Pumpkins' Gish.
That's a great first one. I was hoping it was going to be something really embarrassing.
No. It was
Engelbert Humperdinck. Please release me.
Pretty sure that was the one that started it all. And I remember having a conversation with Chandra about Soundgarden and Megadeth and a bunch of bands like that in that time period. And yeah, that was probably 95, 96.
Oh yeah, 95.
When we first opened.
Oh wow.
Carson was coming in here and buying very adult music when he was a little kid.
My parents would take me down here, and they were big patrons of Pleasant Street Video.
Oh yeah.
So they were there all of the time. Usually when people see my dad, they're like, oh, I remember that guy. And so when Patrick and Chandra opened Turn It Up right down the road, it was a place that I could go to while they were browsing in there.
And now you can go relive the Pleasant Street Video experience across the street on Main Street with Bill Dwight there.
Oh, is he there? I didn't realize.
At times, I think, yes, just like the old days.
You don't have to just go to the pie shop.
Right. Patrick and Chandra, I think we talked about this last time, but tell us the origin story of why you guys all got into wanting to sell records.
The first thing is that in 1994, I didn't have a job. But I had worked in a bunch of record stores in the Boston area and in New York City starting in about 1986 after I graduated from college. And
did you go to music school? Because that's the natural progression of going to music school, work in record store.
Nope. I went to Boston University and I got a degree in art history because I was going to open an art gallery with a friend of mine in New York. And then that didn't happen. But in the meantime, I was working in a record store, so I just kept doing the record store thing, and here we are. In 1994.
Your wife Chandra is saying it's more complicated now. Give us the real story.
We don't have time on a radio segment for all that. But in 1994, we were driving around and we started talking about starting a business. And Chandra said, well, we should just pool our CDs together and open a record shop. And so I wrote a business plan on a single sheet of paper in the summer of 1994. We had actually picked out this particular spot, which had been E. Thomas. They sold classical and folk music CDs. And then they moved to Main Street, where I think Bucci's is right now, the haircut place. And it was vacant for a little bit, but I contacted the landlord and he had rented it to somebody who opened a computer store here. So if you've been in this basement with all the exposed brick and stone, it's not a great place for a computer store. It's a great place for a record store. So a year later, the computer store had gone out of business, and Howard Blum of Blue Note Guitars, the sign of which is still up on the door on Center Street, told us that the space was vacant again. I ran over here manager. I used the payphone at Gwen and Deb's across the street, famously gone cafe. Called the landlord, and he came down and he said, we already had a CD store here and it didn't do very well. And we said, well, we have a different idea. And he said, there's already 3 other CD stores in town. I said, well, we have a different idea. And he said, I'll give you 8 months. And 8 months turned into 30 years.
Wow. Same landlord?
Well, unfortunately, David Pasut died in 2022 or 23. His son owns the building, so yes, same family.
You want to add to that story, Chandra? Are you correcting your husband on the genesis of Turn It Up CDs?
Well, it has more to do with our partnership. I mean, I hired him. I was his boss a long time ago in a music store at the mall called NRM Music.
Uh-huh.
That's where it originally started.
So you violated some real, HR protocols.
Oh,
by
yes.
Dating your employee?
Oh, yes.
It was the boss's fault because we were butting heads because I came from all these record stores and I knew everything. And Chandra was the manager, and so we couldn't get along working together. And the district manager said, well, why don't you guys go out for a drink after work? And that was September 25th of 1993. And one thing led to another. The job didn't work out, but obviously the partnership did.
And now you've been his manager of Turn It Up to one degree or another for 30 years.
30 years
here in this
next week.
space.
Yeah, crazy.
November 24th. Carson Arnold.
Carson, where else have you worked besides here?
To be honest, I've worked here now 21 years. So before that, I worked as a landscaper and odd jobs painting houses and stuff like that. So this has been kind of my main gig for the last 21 years. I did 2 years my late teens doing music journalism. I worked for Northeast Performer, writing music reviews with late Jeff Breeze. But yeah, this has been it. When I was really young, I wanted to play basketball, but that fell short and chose music. And I grew up in a very used bookstore writer environment, and so I gravitated towards music somewhere in that time period. And places like Turn It Up just became home for me.
The Turn It Up empire, let's call it, of Western Mass and southern Vermont and New Hampshire, grew from this basement in Northampton to eventually how many stores?
There's still 3. The sequence is that in 1997, we opened a store in Keene, New Hampshire, which closed in 2018. In 1999, we opened a store in Hanover, New Hampshire, and that only lasted a couple of years. Didn't survive the whole MP3 revolution. So then we opened a store in Brattleboro in 2003, which moved across the street from where it originally was in 2013, but it's still there, and that's where Carson got hired. And then we opened a store at the Mongue Book Mill in 2008, and that is still there.
And that's because you live in Montague and you just didn't want to have to commute too much.
We live right up the street. Our first date that we were just talking about in 1993 was at the Mongue Book Mill. I'd never been there, but Chandra knew of it. And Dean of Dean's Beans owned the cafe at the time.
Uh-huh.
And so we hung out at the cafe, and then we went back to Chandra's house on, again, September 25th of 1993.
And Dean has famously sold Dean's Beans to his employees as now a worker-owned co-op, and you're selling Turn It Up CDs to at least one of your employees.
Everyone's getting out.
Get out while the getting's good. You did mention the MP3 craze, and I remember that in the the late 90s, early 2000s, and Napster, and nobody's buying any music anymore, and everything's free now, as Gillian Welch sings about. How was Turn It Up able to weather that storm to get back to a point where physical media is now once again, my teenagers prefer it?
Most teenagers seem to prefer it nowadays, which is a really great development for us. By being stubborn, I think. We just insisted that we were just going to keep doing this. The Valley Advocate in 2009 had us on the cover as the last record store. But then after that, record stores started coming back because then the whole vinyl thing started happening. And now it's kind of all kinds of media. But the younger generations, let's say 25 and under, are really into physical media, which is your kids, my kids, and Carson's kids who are 12 and 9.
Was it a shock when cassettes started coming back?
I was very shocked. And people come in all the time asking, especially people who have older cars, that the only way they can listen to music that isn't on the radio is through cassettes.
What is it that we love with our worst technologies?
It's hard to figure out how much of it is nostalgia, how much of it is the authenticity of it, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that people really like to collect things, and music is so collectible except in digital form. You can't collect your Spotify playlist, but you can collect cassettes and CDs CDs and records and VHS and 78s even, and laser discs we sell. I mean, we sell all kinds of stuff that is bygone technology, but yet still is attractive to people.
One of the things that I think has made Turn It Up so successful over these last 30 years is that your business model isn't, we need 100 copies of the new Taylor Swift if we're going to make it. It's all used. Is that why you were able to weather those storms?
Exactly. We saw, even before the MP3 happened, there were stores like, Lechmere, that's long gone, that used new releases as loss leaders. So they would sell the new Radiohead album below cost, for instance. To try to make money selling new releases was almost just a fool's errand. We thought it made a lot more sense to just try to work the deep catalog and the older stuff and sell, low budget stuff that would be attractive to people because of the price. So we early on insisted on nothing would be more than $8. And that's not changed all that much, to be honest. It just made a lot of sense to have people have an expectation that they would be able to get stuff cheaper, and also that it wouldn't just be the hits.
Well, also, it's like, it's green. This is all recycling. This stuff would end up in landfills. And instead, it's delighting somebody out there who gets to enjoy or discover something that they hadn't before.
Yeah, I figured out recently that it's something like 5 million units that we've sold over 30 years.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of CDs out of the landfill.
Coming up, more about the changing of hands at Turn It Up CDs and more with the folks who have been in charge there for the last 3 decades, Patrick Pezzati and Chandra Hancock, and the soon-to-be new boss, same as the old boss, Carson Arnold. We'll dispel some music store myths and hear about what the kids these days think is hot when it comes to physical media. And later, the Wine Thunderdome returns to State Street and Live Music Friday with Misty Blues. You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
We're in the subterranean home of Turn It Up CDs and more in Northampton, which will change hands after 30 years on November 24th, 2025. Founded on November 24th, 1995, Patrick Pezzati and Chandra Hancock are handing it over to their longtime employee who started shopping here when he was 10 years old, Carson Arnold. You mentioned that you were buying Smashing Pumpkins records and stuff when you were 10 years old back then. What kind of music do your kids like now, and how old are they?
So I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. They are pretty well into the pop music, but they're more like, my daughter's a little bit more into like Olivia Rodrigo than Taylor Swift.
I think Olivia Rodrigo rules.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like that. And they're starting to get into some older stuff, I noticed. Been trying to show them, like, we've been selling a lot of stuff like Fiona Apple and things like that. I've been trying to slowly sneak things into there, but...
All of the Lilith Fair lineups.
So, it's a process, because if I tell them what to listen to, they're not going to listen to it.
Right.
But, so.
When TV and movies portray record shops and CD shops, there's definitely a certain feel to it. What is the thing about that you think they get wrong?
Because you are really bad snobs. We do know that.
Yeah, I feel like the high fidelity thing in the 2000s was a bit of a portrayal that wasn't necessarily right on. I mean, there's certainly places like that.
I just called to say I love you. Do you have it?
Yeah. Great. We have it.
Great. Can I have it then?
No, you can't.
Why not?
Well, it's sentimental, tacky crap. That's why not. Do we look like the kind of store that sells I just called to say I love you? Go to the mall.
Kind of getting over that hump a bit with customers, and just kind of like very more inclusive. Like, we take everything in, we sell everything. We try to have, the one thing that I've learned is that someone's always going to ask for something that you weren't thinking of. So it's really good to have all that back catalog and have that ready for people to find. I think that's been really one of the great secrets of Turn It Up.
Is there stuff that whenever you get it in, like we said, you don't get the big hot new releases necessarily, but like whenever this comes in, it flies out the door? Like over the 30 years of observing stuff that is always popular?
Many things. The Beatles, always. The Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, Radiohead, Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, there are things that have never been out of style. And then there's artists who kind of go in and out of style, like REM.
Yeah, right now we're selling a lot of stuff. I noticed like Mazzy Star, Jeff Buckley, Slow Dive, shoegaze, and kind of laid back rock and folk music seems to be really big with some of the younger kids.
It must be because J.D. Vance said that Mazzy Star was his favorite group from the 90s.
That would be
Don't say that.
Fade Into You by Mazzy Star is probably like my favorite song of the entire 90s rock era.
Eat my wife's
It's couch gaze music, I guess, for him. Speaking of notables, I've been down here at the Turn It Up in Northampton with Rachel Maddow before she was famous. I've been down here while Tommy Ardolino from NRBQ, may you rest in peace, was flipping through vinyl records. Spill the tea on some of like the greats that have come through this store or some of the other stores.
Billy Corgan was in here.
Oh, wow.
Bought his own bootleg CD.
That's amazing. Were you there for that one, Carson?
I was actually in town. That was when they played the Mullins Center in the '97.
Missed it by that much.
I think they were staying down the street at the hotel.
Oh, dang it.
Jeff Tweedy, because his manager was next town over.
I had a conversation with Matt Dillon a few years ago in the Brattleboro store.
Oh, that's cool.
He was buying 78s.
Jay Mascis, obviously. Charles Thompson, obviously.
Black Francis from Pixies.
Black Francis, yeah. Other, local celebrities, Lou Barlow, obviously, etc. David Gritzman also came in here one time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He bought Ken Burns' Baseball on DVD.
But you just had a sighting in Brattleboro of note.
Alex Lackamore, musical director of Hamilton and In the Heights and Wicked and Dear Evan Hansen and who knows what else, happened to come in our shop, and I did not recognize him.
You happened to bring up Hamilton at the perfect time.
Billy Bragg in the Keene store buying Jackson C. Frank, which he'd been looking for a long time.
Oh, cool.
And Janice Ian has a photo on the back cover of one of her albums that was taken in front of the Keene shop.
The legacy lives on in further music albums that one can purchase. Carson, we're in an uncharted time. You have been here since you were 10 years old in one capacity or another, either as a customer or managing these Turn It Up shops. What is your vision for this enterprise Turn It Up CDs going forward as you take the reins?
Well, I mean, I'm not eager to change anything right away. What we have going on right now is really good. There's been a lot that I've learned here that I definitely didn't know going into this. So keeping things pretty true to the format, although I will say, in this store, customers should, probably expect to see more DVD inventory. We're definitely going to, be bringing in some more new vinyl, new CDs. And one of the things that I like to do is transport things from one location to the other. So people should definitely expect to see a lot of fresh stuff every week that they come in. Maybe something that was in Brattleboro that's coming down here.
Are there things that people in Brattleboro love that the people of Northampton don't, or the people of Mongue love but the people of Brattleboro hate?
There's certain trends. I mean, sometimes it's just a lot of things that we might end up with, certain multiple copies that will spread around. That's kind of our solution a bit to, trying to manage a smaller space like this, because there's a lot of Tetris involved with that.
Yeah.
We're talking about this like it was primarily a CD store, but you have like vinyl and DVDs and books and games too. When did the other mediums come into it?
From day one, because we just were trying to fill space. In the beginning, we didn't have anything. We opened with I think it was 1,800 CDs, which is about enough to fill maybe not even this whole row. And so we just added whatever we could to try to fill the space that we had. So we had VHS and we had a few books and we had just anything that was kind of music related that we could sell. We also had no capital to buy more inventory with, and we opened the shop with $2,000 in cash and the CD collection, and that was it.
You managed to stretch it out for 30 years.
We did, and part of the reason for that amount of money was because I when I worked at Newbury Comics, I had heard that John and Mike had started Newbury Comics with $2,000, and I thought, okay, well, we can start with $2,000. But I didn't realize that in 1978, $2,000 was worth about $1,000 of $1995. So we were definitely a little short, and it showed for the first few months.
Then Newbury Comics moved in right across the street and still managed to weather that, which became like a big chain.
There's a story there because when we were talking about starting a business, we went and had lunch with Mike Dries, founder of Newbury Comics, and he was talking about how he wanted to open a store in Amherst, and we knew we wanted to open a store in Northampton, and we thought, oh, Amherst, that's great. But then they were in Amherst for about 10 years, and it wasn't working so well, and so they moved across the street when Yes Computers moved down the street, and it was a little bit of a hit, but we've coexisted pretty well.
Yeah, because it seems like, again, their business model is mostly different. It's the new stuff,
pop culture,
Funko Pop toys and stuff, and if you wanted a deep cut Tom Waits on vinyl, you're not going to find it at Newbury Comics.
That's right.
Patrick and Chandra, what's the plans for you as you hand over the reins of Turn It Up after 30 years?
Well, I have a 5-year contract with Carson to consult, quote unquote. He has also expressed interest in having me work some shifts in the Brattleboro shop, maybe here as well. So I, won't be disappearing too quickly. But, Chandra had a really bad accident 3 years ago, and that kind of refocused our priorities and made us realize that, you got to live now. Yeah. And so we're going to try to get some traveling in and do some things that we haven't been able to do over the last 30 years. But we're not disappearing, and we still live in Montague, and we'll still be around that shop as well.
I'm back from your trips with really rare Vietnamese soul records.
Yeah, okay.
Could be. There is great music all over the world, and as anyone who travels knows, there's great music everywhere.
Half of the Japanese bands that I know of I found here in the random new bin, and nobody else knew what they were looking at, but I did.
Nice.
That's where you get the treasures.
Well, congratulations, Carson. Looking forward to seeing what you do with this place over the next 30 years.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Later in the show, Live Music Friday with Gina Coleman and Diego Mongue from the Misty Blues Band, who are playing at Luz Soundstage in Holyoke tonight. But first, the Wine Thunderdome returns to State Street Fruit Store for a cause. You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Real Pickles, a worker-owned cooperative in Greenfield producing organic fermented vegetables sourced from Northeast farms. More information at realpickles.com.
That makes me the designated straight man. See, I just tee up the jokes for you.
Yeah. That's right. I appreciate that.
You kind of are the designated straight man anyway down here.
Once again, teeing it up. Look at those pants.
I know. I cannot be considered a straight man, at least at this moment.
No.
A resounding no.
Not in the hunger butt pants.
Yeah.
Wow. They say hunger on the butt.
I went to speak at Wildwood Elementary School, and I'm wearing my propaganda pants from when I was Uncle Sam. On the front of my legs, it says, "I want you to," and then it says, "End hunger now" on my butt.
Did you make these?
My friends at Swanson's Fabrics made them, who have been making my costumes all along and are making my Ernie costume for this year and making my Mr. Rogers sweater that they are knitting.
They're in Turners.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
I'll be Ernie, and Sean Barry from Four Seasons Wine and Liquors, our liquor store friend down the road, will be Bert.
That's wonderful.
Oh, hey Bert.
So good.
I'm going to do a lot of Ernie talking on the march this year.
But is he going to do Julia?
I don't know. Second day I'm Mr. Rogers.
Trying to get him to do Julia Child because he's got the height and the shape for it. Yep. It's perfect.
Maybe he could bring a duck to bone.
The Thanksgiving episode, which is classic. If you haven't seen it, you can find it on PBS Passport. But yeah, she breaks down this turkey and it goes real wrong very quickly.
Dido dined on the back of a fine French turkey. Dido, dina di ton, dun do dun do di dan dun. So that's all for today on the French Chef.
The Wine Thunderdome has returned to the wine bunker deep below State Street Fruit Store, Deli Wines and Spirits, with the Wine Sun and the Yankee Sippa, and a very special Thunderdome because now that we are not controlled by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and we don't know what we can and can't say on public radio anymore, but maybe we can say that you can come to State Street or the other store in Florence, Cooper's, and with a $100 donation to the food bank, leave with a cool gift bag.
They are great this year. Everything was so well organized, and the bags are fantastic, and they are as full as ever. So many good things. You are guaranteed at least 2 bottles of wine. You are guaranteed at least 2 buttons for first night in Northampton, and so many other things. Gift certificates of all kinds, not in every bag, but everything is fantastic this year.
I came to the Friday wine tasting last week. I got one of the Monty's mixed bags, $100 donation, 2 bottles of Ruby wine. Shout out to Ruby Rob Swan for working so hard to make that happen. 2 Berkshire Brewing Company beers, 3 first night buttons, lots of like NEPM and 93.9 The River swag, and a $100 gift certificate to like a restaurant at the golf course in Greenfield. So essentially a wash. I've actually never been there, so that's would be really, really fun. And that $100 goes to the food bank. Great way to support the march coming up.
Every penny of that money goes to the food bank.
Yeah. Try to bring cash too, so that makes it
would be awesome.
better for State Street and Cooper's.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I'm glad you opened with that because I was going to say how absolutely nothing has happened since the last time we saw you.
No, if you go upstairs, and the bags themselves are cool. They're like
they're like real bags.
Yeah, they're like hot cold bags.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you
And
can
they're
like
logoed this year.
With a zipper.
March for the food bank.
Have we sold these bags hard enough to you yet?
Gosh,
Come act now. Low prices.
Remember when we used to be like, if by chance you were walking by State Street Wine and Spirits.
Thanks for destroying the Corporation
by
for Public
chance.
Broadcasting, President Trump.
He's such a good guy.
Well, we are not drinking the wines that you can get out of the bags that you can support the food bank with. But what are...
I'm drinking wines that we can pronounce.
Yeah, what are we drinking?
We are drinking indigenous varietals that you've never heard of and we can't pronounce.
Cool. Where are these? What's the first one?
Well, the first one, we don't usually do white versus red, but I really wanted to try both of these wines. So we're doing white versus red.
Indigenous white versus red. What could go wrong?
Wow.
Wow, that's never been done before.
It's November. It is Indigenous Peoples History Month.
Yep.
Wow.
I can't wait to have those at Thanksgiving.
That's my...
Yankee Sippa is of indigenous descent.
That is true.
This joke has been approved by one indigenous person.
That is my evil subconscious at work right there.
Yeah.
So this This wine is from the company Szabo. It is a Telti Kuruk reserve. Telti Kuruk is the grape, and this is from the Ukraine.
Oh, yay!
And the red wine we're going to try.
It's from Russia.
Is not from Russia.
No.
It's from Turkey. And it is Yakut is the winery. Kavaklider is the vineyard site. And the grapes are Okugozu and Bokazkere.
Wow.
I was looking at Anatolia on the label, and I was like, I recognize that territory. Why? And it's because I was watching a bunch of geography videos about Turkey.
Awesome.
Nice.
Like you do when you have ADHD.
All right, well, I guess we're going to go white first.
We are indeed, sir.
We kind of gotta.
It's a good tasting premise because a lot of times the white will be lighter and maybe a little...
Unless you're in Burgundy.
Yeah. So the Ukraine, I don't know if I've ever had wine from Ukraine before.
I had neither. Now I've tried 4 or 5, and I brought 3 of them into the store. Kind of fun.
How different are they from the ones you find in Georgia?
Not terribly. This one I thought was really cool because it is, again, an indigenous grape, or autochthonius, or autochthonous. I don't really know how to say this word, but I think it's just a funny translation to indigenous, basically.
Oh.
That chthonous word is earth. Auto would be... It was here automatically. This is where it came from.
Wineson was an ancient languages scholar, right, in school?
That was my thing.
Was it for the racing of demons?
What kind of eldritch horror have you wrought?
Here we are with the Szabo Telti Kuruk. Telti Kuruk is Ukrainian for foxtail, and they say that the little bunches of grapes grow in such a way that it reminds people of the foxtail.
What does the fox say?
No.
Yeah, I like this nose. Nectarine.
I get that now, too.
Power of suggestion?
Exactly. Yeah.
But like super clean in a way that I often smell on something that's more Gruner Veltliner.
We have a sparkling wine from the Ukraine now. We have that Separavi blend, and we have this.
Are you getting these from our friends from Wines of Moldova?
The Turkish one, yes, not the Ukrainian one.
Because we have, in years past, tasted a lot of the Moldovan wine, and their former Soviet republic has lots of interesting wine regions.
They really do.
And depending on how Putin's feeling at the time, they have to decide whether they're going to try to sell it here in the U.S. or if they're going to sell it all to Russia.
That is absolutely true. When the Soviets took over the Eastern Bloc, they basically were like, we have enough people making wine. You now produce nothing but brandy. And, you know, like the Albanians were like, but we don't know how to make brandy. And now they're...
Also, we're kind of Muslim sometimes. We're not super great at making alcohol to begin with.
Giving our grapes to Croatia.
We eat them.
You can eat grapes?
Why would you eat these?
You're supposed to let them rot and turn into poison for your body and liver.
I like this as much as I liked it last week when I first tasted it to bring it in. It's clean, it's crisp, has a really nice amount of acidity without being searing on your palate.
This is the wine when we judge all white wines by oyster, and this is an oyster wine.
Absolutely.
This is well, they're probably not eating oysters in Ukraine right now, but
Well, if they could access the Black Sea, they would be.
Yeah.
This is bone dry.
Bone dry. And maybe a little too chilly.
That's what I would say.
You put it in the freezer for too long.
I did.
One thing that we also have brought in is Ukrainian vodka. And we had one before, and it was quite good, and it was what you want vodka to be like. And we found out it was actually from our Moldovan friends, that the distillery was bombed.
What?
And so it's gone.
I'm literally looking right behind you at a box of Ukrainian Freedom vodka.
And that one. And the label is so beautiful.
Ghost of Kiev.
Ghost of Kiev blue and yellow flag on this
Ukrainian Freedom vodka.
Yeah, but Weinstein needs to read the
translation on the back.
Translation on the back is amazing.
In the days of great battles for the freedom of Ukraine, during the glorious victories, heroism, losses, with great respect to our defenders and defenders, we are with Ukraine in our hearts.
Okay, Google Translate. Thank you so much.
The defenders and defenders.
That's my favorite part. Because they obviously had 2 words in Ukrainian, but the translate machine was like, they both mean defenders.
I'm sad that the other one is gone, but I'm glad that we could bring something else.
Oh, it's corn-based.
Yeah, you would think it was wheat-based, being from the bread basket of the earth, but so be it.
You mean Soviet?
I teed that one up for you, Monty. What do you want from me?
Well, that's a fun way to support Ukraine, by buying their Freedom vodka.
Yeah.
All right, wine number 1 from the Ukraine.
The Ukraine.
Grapes we've never heard of, indigenous grapes. What's it called again, the grape?
Telti Kuruk.
Telti Kuruk.
Yes, sir. And it's a reserve bottling from Chabot.
Okay, wine number 2 in the Wine Thunderdome in State Street, where you can come in and make a $100 donation to the Food Bank of Western Mass and leave with some incredible goodies, including a golden ticket that will get you to come visit one of our live music Fridays, and or a golden ticket that can get you into Steve Sanderson's morning show, where our wine son often is the booze guru on Friday mornings there.
I am indeed.
Totally stole that idea from me, but whatever, Steve.
This is beautiful. It's like literally garnet.
And it smells like bricks and blood.
Yeah, definitely bloody.
Funny backstory for this one. My middle brother, just recently, he and his wife purchased a condo. It's like a mile walk to the Keechee Gorge. So we go into White River Junction to go to dinner, and there's this amazing Turkish restaurant that
I know where what you're talking about.
the Tucker Box,
Yeah.
which was formerly an Australian food lunch place.
With a name like Tucker Box.
Yeah, so when the Turkish people bought it, they were like, well, people like the Tucker Box, so let's not give them a reason not to come in. So they kept the name. So we go in there, and it's amazing food, amazing service, and they have like 5 Turkish wines on the list. And I'm thinking, why has nobody ever shown me a Turkish wine?
Yeah.
And here I am in the middle of nowhere, Vermont, and they have 5 Turkish wines. So I must be able to find them in Massachusetts. Thus began my trek to find them. It took a few months. And of course, our friends at Vin Distributors, the Moldovan wine company, are the ones bringing in the Turkish wine. Turns out this is the very wine that I had at dinner that night. So again, indigenous grapes here, grapes that are very difficult to pronounce. I will try one more time. Okuzgozu and Bokazgere.
Like mid palate, there's like this stony smoke note hitting me in the very top roof of my mouth.
And I had this with a classic lamb kebab, and my God, it was perfect.
The tannic structure of this wine, the tannins in this wine are so good.
This Turkish wine, do you think it would go with turkey or just from turkey?
I think it would destroy turkey.
It would really destroy it. You could maybe the dark meat.
So I'm smoking my turkey this year.
Ooh, look at you, fancy.
Leave me alone. And I think if you're heavily seasoning your turkey, then this could work. But if you're doing anything traditional, like no.
No. For the fruit notes, maybe a really dry cranberry is one of the fruit notes that I'm getting. And it doesn't have a massive fruit profile. It is also very austere.
It's almost like goji berries.
Wow, wine son, you did a really good job picking wines this week.
Back to the Ukrainian white.
It's still very cold.
It's as cold as a Ukrainian winter.
Yeah, right.
It's got a hint of Zelensky.
Melodramatic acting.
Volodymyr.
Black military sweater.
Yeah.
So it looks really good in pleather.
Now I'm getting gunpowder, though.
Just got
Isn't that weird?
It
really
you
is.
did that to yourself.
No, it is definitely flinty. I am not lying. It smells
it's
like
flinty.
which is gunpowder, kind of like when you used to have a cap,
saltpeter, yeah,
saltpeter, or like a cap gun when you were a kid, and the smell afterwards. I quite like.
And it's still bone dry.
There's so many regions of the world that have been making wine for so long that
Way
never
longer,
really
yeah.
entered the American market until like now. So you have a lot more places to explore.
We are always touting old world wine, right? And when we say that, we're usually talking about Spain, Italy, France, a little bit of Portugal. But when those folks talk about old world wines, that's what we're drinking today.
Yeah.
Like, Armenia goes back 6,200 years of provable winemaking. I mean, that's old world.
The nose for the Ukrainian one for the kuruk, which I'm definitely saying wrong.
We could ask our office mate Umar, who's not only
should.
Russian but speaks fluent Spanish. He's
amazing.
He really is amazing.
Cool.
Newest hire to the NEPM news
Like,
department.
I mean, seriously, like,
He's something else.
yes.
Wait, I heard him on the radio.
Yeah, you did.
probably did.
And I could not determine his accent, which was so interesting. I know exactly.
He's Russian, and he moved to the United States because he's obsessed with Twin Peaks. That's why we get along so well.
You remind me today of a small Mexican chihuahua.
Back to Turkey.
I have to say, like, every time I encounter wines from, like, basically ancient Babylonia, they're always amazing.
It's like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Weird.
The tannins are starting to mellow out a little bit in the red wine, and I'm getting more of like a cocoa note that wasn't there at the first round.
Like, it's Pinot Noir's great-great-granddad.
Okay. It's time to decide in the Wine Thunderdome. 2 wines, indigenous grapes from places that we don't usually drink from and grapes that we don't know how to say. One from Ukraine, the Telti Koruk Reserve from Chabot, and then from Turkey, the Yakut Kavaklideri Okuzgozu Bokaskere Avada Kedavra!
Apologies to anybody who actually speaks Turkish out there. If you know how to say this, please just call the show.
Send us an
leave
audio,
a message.
an audio message about how to pronounce this
You
correctly.
idiots.
Anyway, who's voting for what? We can go by country to make it easy on all of us.
That's fair.
The white is from Ukraine and the red is from Turkey.
I am going against my initial thought. I'm going to vote for the Ukraine. Ukraine is strong.
The defenders are strong.
I can vote. I've been drinking more red wine lately, and I really, 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 really love this wine. I think it's beautiful. But I have to say, for my palate and what I would typically cook with, I'm going with that Ukrainian white. It speaks to me in what I want out of a white wine.
Turkey, I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Can't serve it with turkey.
You could, but you're not going to be able to taste the turkey.
Again, I could.
Yeah.
I'm smoking my turkey.
Yeah.
I really think that the Turkish wine is interesting, but I'm going Ukraine.
Woo!
Ukraine
oh,
wins.
Weird. White people win in November.
It's not about that.
I'm sorry.
It's about Ukraine winning.
I picked the colored wine, and you know what?
Everybody wins if you come into State Street and Cooper's and get
so good to laugh.
You can get a bag for a $100 donation to the Food Bank of Western Mass, which would provide 200 meals for our neighbors. You'll get at least 2 bottles of cool wine. And again, thanks to Ruby Wines for every year supporting this. They donate all that wine to Berkshire Brewing Company for donating all that beer. That's the minimum of what you'll get in there. You'll get buttons for first night, all sorts of cool stickers from the river and from NEPM, and I got a $100 gift certificate to like a restaurant in Greenfield.
Sweet.
So I got my money back, and all of my money went to go support the food bank. So that's what it's all about.
Sorry, you'll have to buy another bag to make up for that.
I'm actually thinking about it.
Yeah, take the money you won at the Polish Club and go put it towards the food bank.
I was at the Polish Club last night, and some woman there was like, "Here's $20 for the food bank, March Monty." It was very, very sweet.
So we have had people ask, I can't buy a bag, and say, how do
Yeah.
I donate? And I've been sending them to the website.
That's the way to go.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, I appreciate the gesture of handing me cash, and
But I
I
drank it.
promise
No,
you
no,
it goes
no.
to the right place, but not my preferred method. Well, thanks you guys, and thank you for being like for years. The pandemic is what caused these Monty's mixed bags to happen. We used to do this big fundraising dinner, but it's turned out to be a great thing, and State Street and Cooper's has always been right there for that. So appreciate.
Always happy to help, Monty. And it's such a good cause.
It's one of my favorite things that we do.
The Monty's Mixed Bags are available right now at State Street and Cooper's in Northampton and Florence exclusively, and 100% of the price goes to support the March for the Food Bank, which begins a week from tomorrow. Up next, Live Music Friday with the band You Can See It De La Luz in Holyoke tonight, Misty Blues. You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Hashi Pottery in 50 Arrow Gallery at Eastworks. Japanese-inspired ceramics and textiles, where every piece is handmade in the Pioneer Valley for home, ritual, or someone dear. HashiPottery.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Comfort Bagel, scratch-made artisan sourdough bagels, spreads, and sandwiches for breakfast or lunch on Main Street in Westfield and at their new location in Holyoke at 92 Race Street. ComfortBagel.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. It's Live Music Friday. For over 25 years, Misty Blues has been a cornerstone of the New England blues scene, blending tradition with innovation. Led by powerhouse vocalist Gina Coleman, the Berkshire-based band brings original and classic blues steeped in soul, jazz, funk, and gospel. Formed back in the late 90s, Misty Blues has since shared stages with legends, recorded with Charles Neville, may he rest in peace, former Western Masser and Joe Louis Walker, amongst others, earned a spot as a finalist in the International Blues Challenge. Their 15th album was Silver Lining. Now I have your, 17th album? What was 16?
It was our Odetta tribute.
Odetta tribute.
Right.
17th album, Other Side of the Blue, and already a single for the 18th album forthcoming. But Misty Blues is bringing their raw, brassy, full of heart sound to the De La Luz Soundstage on Race Street in Holyoke this evening. From the band Misty Blues is the aforementioned Gina Coleman, and the bass player for Misty Blues, who's doing us a solid today by playing guitar in the studio for Live Music Friday, Diego Mongue. Let's start out with a song.
All right. You can get stoned on an ounce of love. Take it slow. There's never enough. Lose your shirt, making them deals. Now you know just how those blues feel. You can get happy, basking in the sun. riding and sitting all day long. Come for a ride, I'll take the wheel. Gonna show you just how those blues feel. In an empty room, best find yourself or change your tune. It's never easy keeping it real, but that's just how those blues feel. You can get old waiting for what's right. Keep running idle at that red light. A life sentence with no last meal, and that's just how those blues feel. And that's just how those blues feel. And that's just how those blues feel.
Leaving it unresolved. I love it. Just like life.
I know.
That is Gina Coleman and Diego Mongue from the Misty Blues Band, who's playing at De La Luz Soundstage on Ray Street in Holyoke tonight. Full disclosure, Gina is Diego's mom.
That's right.
And it's pretty amazing to see them play together and the dynamics that they have. It's also like you can hear the power in Gina's voice, but you need to see Gina embody that power physically to really get the whole full effect. And you have that opportunity this evening. Diego, you have your own band. What's up with your own band?
I've been working on a couple of projects on my own. My blues band has kind of spread off into different directions. My singer is pregnant right now.
Oh, wow.
And then all the other members are off doing their own things. But I'm just kind of working away, writing compositions on my own, doing some solo stuff.
That's great. And you, Gina, for the first time in your illustrious career that we were talking about earlier, have released your own solo album under the name Gina Coleman, Unequivocally Blue. Tell me about what the difference is that you bring to a solo album that, you know, you're not doing with Misty Blues. What makes it stand apart?
Well, you know, I think in Misty Blues, I view myself as one of the musicians.
Yeah.
So I'm fairly mixed with the rest of the instruments.
Uh-huh.
And it's a much bigger sound. It's a much more complicated arrangement. Whereas Unequivocally Blue is stripped down. My vocals are very present. It's just guitar, bass, and drums.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah, it was scary, actually.
Yeah. Tell me why it was scary. Was it liberating at the same time, or was it just scary?
No, it was just scary. I'm like, I don't have that like giant cushion underneath me.
I mean, that's they call it a band. You know, I mean, you're band together, and you have that support network. So to go out there on your own, but I mean, there were other musicians playing with you on this too. But were you just calling all the shots as opposed to a more egalitarian way that Misty Blues does it? Or?
Yeah. Well, you know, Diego actually served as my bass player and my drummer. So this was a studio recording. Yeah, we just approach things just in a much more simplified manner to allow the vocals to come out.
Yeah.
Interesting recording process, because I also recorded the album because we've been working on building a studio in our home.
You were pining after our NEPM mics before we hit
I
the
know.
air.
Yes. But we've been working on building that up since COVID, and this was one of the first like real projects we got to really kind of test out what we can do and what we can produce in producing a larger scale work out of our attic, essentially.
I can't imagine doing anything creative with my parents. But I do have very creative children, and I would love to work with my children creatively and have it at some times. What is the best part about working creatively with your mom?
I feel like I know what the goal is. I feel like at heart, I know, obviously, family, we squabble.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have heard us in the parking lot.
But it's like, I feel like I know the direction that she's trying to take something. And for the most part, I feel like I can deliver on that pretty quickly without a whole lot of rooting around to find the thing.
Yeah.
No.
What about you, Gina? What's the best part about working with your son?
Well, he's so incredibly talented, and the youthfulness that he brings, he shows me things that I had never really thought of before.
Yeah.
And it pushes me, and sometimes I get a little bristly about it.
But you're steeped in the traditions of blues.
Yes.
You also have a podcast that
Yes.
educates people about the blues legends, and you've done whole blues legend shows. So are you bringing in elements of other styles of music that are not blues related and trying to open your mom's mind up to it?
So everything I do has a large amount of blues in it, but I'm a big fan of jazz. I'm a big fan of progressive rock. I like things that I like beautiful sounding albums that have a really unique sonic quality to it. So, and that's something you don't necessarily see all the time in blues.
Yeah.
And as blues, I feel like its popularity is waning, trying to find other things to bring a uniqueness back into it to make it relevant for younger audiences.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know if you, Gina, are the one who's in charge of the Misty Blues social media account, but I get a lot of messages from them, and including people playing the blues, but with indigenous drumming mixed into it. So all of these different interpretations of what can be done with even ancient or genres of music like indigenous traditional singing, and then mixing the blues in there.
I love this. I think I've said for a while now that Misty Blues is blues fusion.
Yeah.
And Diego has a heavy hand in that. But the other musicians in the band who've been with me for years all have passions in areas outside of the blues, as well as they're passionate about the blues. So trying to incorporate those other passions will keep us true to the music.
Yeah. Well, Gina Coleman has 2 albums out this year. Unequivocally Blue is the first solo album, and Misty Blues, Other Side of Blue, is the 17th Misty Blues album.
Yes.
They are playing Misty Blues at De La Luz Soundstage on Ray Street in Holyoke tonight. Can we hear one more song for Live Music Friday from the stripped-down duo of Gina Coleman and Diego Mongue from Misty Blues?
All right. Let's do Days Gone By from the solo album.
Cool.
Why don't you pass me a piece of that shoe fly pie, and we can sit back and reminisce about those days gone by. Won't you pass me a piece of that shoe fly pie, and we can sit back and reminisce about those days gone by. Why don't you pour me a taste from that backwoods still, made from that recipe Pappy left in his will? Won't you pour me a taste from that backwoods still, made from that recipe Pappy left in his will? Why don't you give me a ride in old Granddad's whip, one with that crank start nearly broke your hip? Won't you give me a ride in old Granddaddy's whip, one with that crank start that nearly bust your hip? I love to play dress up in great-grandma's store. It was so finely made and will never get old. I love me some dress up great grandmommy stole. It was so finely made, it will never get old. 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 Never get old.
From Gina Coleman's first solo album, Unequivocally Blue. Gina Coleman, the voice behind Misty Blues, who will be playing at De La Luz Soundstage on Ray Street in Holyoke, with an assist on guitar from the bass player for Misty Blues.
I know, give
Pulling
it up.
off for a live music Friday for us here at the Fabulous 413. Really appreciate that, Diego Mongue. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for bringing your music to the studio here, and excited
thanks for having us.
the show in Holyoke tonight.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a banger.
Oh, yeah.
Next week on the Fabulous 413, it's Hunger Awareness Week here at NEPM, so we'll be talking with those on the forefront of fighting hunger here in Western Mass, including Andrew Morehouse of the Food Bank and Congressman Jim McGovern, and we'll see how the operations of making sure our neighbors have enough to eat are happening at the Brick House in Turner's Falls, as well as the Born Free Food Pantry in Springfield. We'll have live music from Lux Deluxe, who are doing a food bank fundraiser next week, as well as Young at Heart Chorus, who are doing a food bank fundraiser next week, because we're heading into the march for the food bank, which begins a week from tomorrow with the mini march. For Khalees Smith, I'm Monty Belmonte. Thanks for listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.